let me just show you how to do this. When we're looking at this problem, what do we know? We know there's the one minted in Denver is 3/2 the one minted in Philadelphia, and we know if you add them, their value, it equals $25. So I have this sketch pad over here that I'm going to do the work in. So what do we know? The value of the Denver one, just kind of repeating what I said. Let's call D the value of the Denver one. That's going to be our variable. And we're going to have P be the value of the Philadelphia one. So it says here, the Denver one equals 3/2 the Philadelphia one. So the Denver value equals 3/2 the value of the Philadelphia coin. Okay, so now what else do we know from this equation? It tells us together the total value is $25. So whatever D is worth plus whatever P is worth, it equals a total of 25. It's really hard to draw with the mouse. That's why some of these are sloppy. Okay, so $25. So now this equal sign here, whenever you see an equal sign, that means anything on either side can be replaced by something on the other side. So that means I can, since this 3/2 P is equal to D, I can replace this D with 3/2 P. See, so then I can make a new equation that says 3/2 P plus P is 25. So now that I know this, if I add this, 3/2 plus 2, remember P this is like saying 1P, 1 times P, and 1 can be expressed as 2/2, right? 3/2 plus 2/2 is 5/2. 5/2 of the value of P equals 25. Right? So then if I solve for P, we see that first I'll multiply by 2. 5P is 50. It's a 5 here, not an S. 5P, that's sloppy, equals 50. So now we can see that P equals 10. So now I know the value of the Philadelphia one is $10, which, looking at the practice test, that is the correct value. And then we can look at our equation here. We know that the value of Philadelphia plus the value of the Denver one is a total of $25. So if we put 10 here for P, then we know that D has to be 15. So we know that the other answer is 15, which is also correct. So that's how you do that one. I'll show you now the coffee one. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the coffee one. It's kind of similar, a little bit different, but yeah, I'll show you how to do it. So let's look at what we know again. A store mixes Brazilian coffee worth $10 per kilogram and Turkish coffee worth $14 per kilogram. The mixture is to sell for $11 per kilogram. How much of each should you use to make 468 kilogram mixture? So since what we're trying to find is how many kilograms of each, then our variables will be what we're trying to find. So we're trying to find number of kilograms of Brazilian coffee, so I'll call that B. So that's the kilograms of Brazilian, and the other one is Turkish coffee, so that's going to be T. So now what do we know about these from the problem? So $10, so the price is based on, for every kilogram of Brazilian, it's cost $10. So 10 times B, that's going to tell you how much your Brazilian coffee costs, right? Because if you have, say you have 5 kilograms, it's going to be $50 or something. And then it's $14 per kilogram of Turkish coffee. So if we add these together, 14 Turkish, then the amount we want it to be $14 per kilogram. Okay, so that's going to equal 11 times however much total you have, B plus T, whatever that equals. Right? So it's saying that 11 times the total amount of coffee you have, that should be equal to the 10 times the amount of Brazilian plus 14 times the amount of Turkish. Now our other equation that we can derive from this problem is, we know if you add the two amounts together, it's 468. B plus T is 468. So from this, we could substitute this into here. We know, so basically we'll put this number, since this equals B plus T, let's stick it in there. So 10B. So for these types of problems, basically you have to make equations based on the information they give you, and they'll usually be two equations with two unknowns, and then you can use those equations to figure out the unknowns. So if I multiply 11 times 468, you can use your scientific calculator or do it by hand, you get 5,148. So now I have this equation. Now I gotta say, what's the easiest thing I can substitute in here? I'm gonna substitute something for B here. So I'm gonna solve for B from this equation. I know that B equals 468. That's a B, not an 8. Sorry, it's kind of sloppy. 468 minus however much the Turkish I have. So I can stick this into here. So that's going to be 10 times. You got to remember, that's a 0. 468 minus T plus 14T. There we go. We're getting there. We're almost there. We're almost there. That equals 5,148. So I'm going to erase some of our earlier work to make some more space. I think, yeah. I'm just going to have this much information here. So, now you're going to distribute this 10. You have to multiply it by both of these numbers. So I have 4680. Now the reason I chose to solve for B is because I knew I'd be multiplying by 10, which is an easier number to multiply by. 4680 minus, you have to distribute this negative, minus T times 10 is minus 10T, plus 14T. There we go. That equals 5,148. So now, these two will combine to be 4T, not 40, 4T. And then, on the other side, I'm going to subtract 4,680 from this side. And that's a resubtraction. And so when I subtract 5,148, 5148 minus 4680, 4,680, I get, let's see, let me use a calculator really fast. Or you could do it by hand, either way. I get 468. So now, T is a quarter of that. So T is going to be, let's see, I think it's going to be 117, I believe. I should probably double check that. Yeah, I just did that in my head. So 468 divided by 4. Yeah, 117. So let's see if that's right. And that is, the Turkish coffee is going to be a mixture of 117 kilograms. Cool. And then we can plug that back into here, into this equation for T, and we know B oops, b plus 117 is going to give us 468, so we can solve for b. So I forgot to put an equal sign. Equals 468. So now you subtract 468 minus 117, and that gives you 351. So let's see if that's right. For the Brazilian, we should have 351 kilograms, and that is correct also. So just to review what we did for both of these, you look at the information they give you, and you see how do we make these equations. We said we're trying to figure out Brazilian coffee and Turkish coffee, the number of kilograms. So our variables are kilograms of Brazilian and kilograms of Turkish, and I called them B and T just so I could remember which was which. Then it told me if I take, it told me the price of each, 10 times the Brazilian plus 14 times the Turkish, that's going to equal 11 times whatever the mixture is, which was the B plus T. That's how I came up with my first equation, which if you rewind the video, you'll see that, what that equation was. And then we know that the total amount is going to add to 468, so that's how we got our second one. And then basically we just used substitution. For example, we substituted, instead of writing T, instead of writing B, we said B equals 468 minus T. So we replaced that into our equation and solved for T, and eventually we got down to these numbers here, and we were able to solve the problem. So that's basically what you do for that type of problem. I hope this is helpful. Alright, cool.